1976, Albert Woodfox, one of the two remaining imprisoned members of the Angola Three, received some potentially good news. For the third time, his conviction for the 1972 murder of an officer in the Louisiana State Penitentiary was overturned, and a federal judge ordered Woodfox's release after more than 40 years in solitary confinement. But instead of letting the matter be settled in court, the Louisiana Attorney General just couldn't help himself from responding. In doing so, he showed why this case is about more than the murder of one man. It is about the inhumanity exhibited for more than 40 years by the state. And that is why this week's letter is written to him. Dear Louisiana Attorney General James Buddy Caldwell, it's me, Melissa. Let's start here. I am not here to try the case of Albert Woodfox. The question of his innocence is for the courts to decide. But there was a recent federal judge ruling, and after the ruling, Amnesty International started an online petition urging that the ruling stand so that Woodfox can be tried or released, noting that, quote, Albert Woodfox has spent nearly 41 years in solitary confinement in conditions that are cruel, inhuman, and degrading. And that Woodfox and Wallace, two members of the Angola Three, were sentenced to life imprisonment, although no physical evidence linked them to the crime and there were serious legal flaws that came to light. Yet, you, buddy, just couldn't help yourself. You had to respond to the online petitioners. And your response shows your long-held bias. You said to the petitioners, thank you for your interest in the ambush, savage attack, and brutal murder of Officer Brent Miller of the Louisiana State Penitentiary on April 17, 1972. Now, buddy, no one is disputing the brutality of Brent Miller's murder. But what is in dispute is your impartiality and whether or not justice has been served. Let's not forget that the Angola Three were members of the Black Panther Party at the Louisiana State Penitentiary. They were convicted of murder while trying to expose the horrific conditions at the prison. A prison located on an 18,000-acre former slave plantation called Angola. So is it surprising to you that the U.S. District Court judge overturned this conviction because the state failed to prove that the grand jury foreperson was selected on a race-neutral basis? You tout the so-called strong evidence against Albert Woodfox by saying that the evidence against him is overpowering, that there are no flaws in our evidence, and this case is very strong. We feel confident that we will again prevail at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Really? There are no flaws in your evidence? There have been charges of prosecutorial misconduct, bribing of key eyewitnesses, and the loss of key evidence. Combined with the lack of jury diversity, that type of evidence doesn't sound that solid at all. And regarding these men being held in solitary confinement, you said, contrary to popular lore, Woodfox and Wallace have never been held in solitary confinement while in the Louisiana penal system. Interesting. What do you make of holding a 71 and 66-year-old man who suffered from arthritis, kidney failure, and claustrophobia in a 6-by-9-foot cell for 23 hours a day for decades? That sounds pretty solitary and pretty confined to me. So while you may only see prisoners whose incarceration have helped to define your career, maybe you should start seeing human beings who deserve justice and respect. Sincerely, Melissa.